So I'm going to be talking about this new film called MaXXXine. A lot of the reviews that have been coming out for the past couple of days have been kind of like mixed, and I'm kind of like in the higher end of a lot of people's perceptions of this film. I've gave it a 3.5 out of 5. Again, a 3.5 out of 5, which is pretty fair, but I want to kind of like go not super deep into it, but kind of like defend some of the criticisms against this movie. So I might spoil a little bit of it. So if you want to like jump ahead before I like really spoil it, go right ahead, or you can just like click off this video. But yeah, I'm going to be doing that just right now. So sit back and enjoy. So MaXXXine basically follows the end of X, which is the first in the trilogy, and then Pearl, which is the prequel. X was basically this slasher movie that kind of played a lot with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but also with pornography. And the whole vibe of this whole trilogy is dealing with pornography, the Hollywood industry, and how women are chewed up and spit out in the industry. And you have Maxine Minx, who basically survived the events of X and has gone to Hollywood to pursue her dreams as an actress. And basically from there, she's just riding off her success of the murders that happened around that time in Texas. And she's trying to like climb her way up to the top. Meanwhile, there's a killer on a loose, and there's other like 80s stuff that's happening in between MaXXXine, the movie itself. So that's pretty much like the setup of this new film. Past that, the rest of the movie basically follows a kind of formulaic, pastiche kind of love letter to 80s Italian giallo, slashers, a lot of video nasties, and also just a lot of Brian De Palma films like Body Double, Dress to Kill, and other films like Showgirls, or again, Italian giallo with Suspiria, Opera, Deep Red, those types of films. And all of that is like mixed with just like this really nasty 80s sleaze. And I think with all that like boiled in together, I think this film does a decent job portraying that type of thematic. Although I do think that this film, especially near the third act, it kind of like rushes itself. And I think that's one of the criticisms that this movie is getting right now. So I'm just going to go like a little bit deeper into the themes of this film. So yeah. Here we go. So this third act basically follows the Night Stalker and the way he basically kind of put everything together to stop Maxine from being this heathen type of actress. And I say that because this film deals a lot with the devil's contract and how these Hollywood actors sign like the imaginary devil contract and become like super, super famous to the point where they're completely unscathed and they have to basically fight their demons in the darkness, and those demons are kind of like kept hidden behind walls or veils. Maxine's kind of dark devil situation is the murders and how they were like covered up once she landed onto Hollywood. And the Night Stalker is basically Maxine's father. And from there, the film basically opens with like the reel of young Maxine tap dancing, and this kind of father figure is behind the camera telling her to do the stuff that she needs to do to become successful as an actress and a dancer. And from there, like after all that happens in X and then now here, the father returns and tries to ruin everything that Maxine has tried to work for. It's completely obvious who the Night Stalker is the moment you start watching the movie. Even if you haven't seen any of the other films, like, you know just who the Night Stalker is. And I think that's one of the main criticisms this film is getting, is that it's very obvious who the Night Stalker is. It's completely obvious where the film is going to go. And quite frankly, I think this film is more vibes than just straightforward kind of like thematics. It has a lot of like the 80s like neon kind of thematics with like the slasher aesthetics and just other stuff that I mentioned before. But I think, again, I completely understand the criticisms, and I think I'll defend it because this whole trilogy relies heavily on just kind of nostalgia for other horror tropes and horror aesthetics. Again, with like X being like the 70s slasher, Pearl being like this 30s, 40s like Disney Technicolor film, while also being a horror film, and now this, which is just like straight 80s cheese. And I dug it. Like I really did. And again, I think it's kind of rushed where it goes near the end, and kind of predictable where it goes at the end. But again, I think this film does a decent job just portraying all those 80s like fashions and like trends and just everything around it. And I really liked Mia Goth's performance in this, even though I prefer her in Pearl, where she's doing a lot and doing like more kind of insane shit. Here she's just kind of like refined, and it's kind of like laid back, but like you can understand where her character is going throughout, and a little bit understated. But again, I enjoyed her performance in this, and I enjoy like the rest of the performances in this, including Kevin Bacon, Moses Sumney, who's in it for like a little bit, and then Elizabeth Debicki, who plays like the British film director who's trying to like help MaXXXine get the part and get her shit going. And then Halsey just appears for like a few minutes and then gets kidnapped. And then Lily Collins is also there. And I also like Giancarlo Esposito, even though he plays kind of like this one-note attorney who has kind of like this dark past, but it's also kind of like the catalyst of MaXXXine's demons and how those demons are like hidden behind Hollywood. And again, like I think this film, it plays a lot with just like 80s stuff. It also plays a lot with like the main character going around Hollywood and trying to like solve shit. Films like Under the Silver Lake, Inherent Vice were kind of like that, and kind of dealt with characters who were kind of like stoned out of their mind and trying to like figure out the puzzle pieces of Hollywood. And here, like, it's the same thing, but it's more of like a slasher situation. But yeah, like, I think that's the reason why I actually really enjoy this movie more than like other people are putting it out to be. And again, I totally understand why people are kind of like disappointed by this final entry. I do think there's going to be another one, but I think if they're going to do another one, they're probably going to have to do it in the 90s, and they're going to have to do it during the time when the porn industry went full digital. And I think MaXXXine, her story arc near the end of this film is pretty cathartic, and it ends pretty good. I wouldn't like to see another one, but if there was another one, I would go see it again, or see it, because Ty West, he's been getting better as a director each entry. I wasn't a fan of his like older works, but here, like, he's really committed to just this whole world. But yeah, I think that's the reason why I gave this a 3.5. I gave it a little more fairer score than like other people, but I want to hear like other thoughts from other people. I hope you guys enjoy this kind of little impromptu video. Yeah, peace out.